My name is Andrew Turner, and I'm from a company called 4DS1. We build a tool called GeoCommons, as well as a lot of other open source tools. And I'm going to talk today about some of the work we've done deploying web-based kind of applications to the field to give people the same experience you might get at your desktop with broadband connection, but offline. And I'm wearing a shirt a friend, Eduardo Jezerski, gave me from Instead. It's the Khmer language, and just kind of reminds me about how complicated the mobile phone input is in the Khmer language. It can take 70 keystrokes to put your location information in. So how valuable and necessary it is to think about the user and how the user will interface with your system, especially in a time of crisis, and how comfortable they are with it, and something we spend a lot of time thinking about. So there's a lot of web mapping tools out there. We've shown some great ones out there. These are obviously the most popular ones we've seen around, but people point out the common problem with these is that you've put some dots on a map, and you see there's an event here, there's a boundary here, but what's going on? I can't quickly really take advantage of the visual medium that the map is and give me a lot of valuable information behind it. So obviously what a lot of us are doing is trying to bring more better analysis and trends, visual intensity to it, and then let people explore it. So not just a paper map, not just send out a PowerPoint. We've done a lot of work in the past where someone said, give me a PowerPoint, you get it to them and said, well, I have a question, can you do it again? And you keep going these huge, long cycles. But what happens is you can actually let somebody themselves play with the data, put new layers on themselves as a non-expert user. And how can you take the network effect for data and actually understanding an issue better? So not just the actual individual reporting data, but government data, public data, user-generated data, environment data, historic data, economic data, and actually see what the correlations are. So they talked about, Nigel, with their algorithm, was there's all these layers. Sometimes you have to predefine them, but what happens is you can just kind of throw them together and see what happens and kind of play with the data as you're starting to figure out the analysis, as you're trying to understand a situation. And so Mikkel showed his napkin map, but I just want to kind of bring out how this is possible now. All these tools exist. They're all downloadable, obtainable. You can start gluing them all together and actually start playing with these things and deploying them in various different ways into the field. So you have all kinds of different providers of spatial imagery and paper maps, so inputs, outputs, and sharing it all back around. So it's possible right now. So this is something that we're really focused on, just kind of taking this cloud of data that's coming out there and then providing a platform that people can get to that data however is meaningful for them. So some people just want the data because they say, well, I want to use it in my GIS tool and I want to analyze it my way. Some people said, give me a report. I want an Excel spreadsheet with analysis. Some people say, I want a map or a globe. I want to put it on a mobile device. To them, they shouldn't have to care how the data got to them, what format it came in, Excel, XML, CAP, whatever. They just want the information when they want it to use the way they want it. So we've built this platform. It's a public site anyone can come to. So Robert Sode mentioned it earlier. Thank you. We're actually letting anybody go and upload information. So right now we have 14,000 databases that people have publicly uploaded to the site, which we can deploy, and letting people kind of very easily upload whatever data they have, shapefiles, CSVs, databases. They have linked to feeds of data, KML, GRSS, whatever that is. Let them get in the system and easily share it out, and then download it in numerous formats as well. Even walking a lot of this data out there might have a location information, might have a street or zip code, might have a P code, might have an ISO identifier. So helping them walk through and think about usability, about just help us clean up your data, help us actually find the geographic boundaries or definition of what the spreadsheet you had laying around. Let's actually help you put it on a map so we can use it and compare against other data. And then actually share this data around, because you don't want any one silo, because someone says, I have the data, and maybe if you call me, I'll send you a disk. You just want it easily to kind of share around so people can live search it, federate it. They can harvest the information, because they're going to want to not always be connected to the internet. They're going to have to pull it offline, put it on a USB disk, deploy it to the field, and put it out there. So we support a lot of different open formats, so GIS formats like WFS, to lightweight ones like OpenSearch or KML that lets people easily, however is appropriate for them, pull the data off and harvest it and search between different government data catalogs, scientific catalogs, and other corporate resources. And then actually, we spent a lot of time thinking about how to actually walk somebody through doing analysis. So SpatialKey has one interface, and there's a lot of different interfaces that have done very well at trying to get people to lightweight mapping. And so it's interesting that we're all having the same conversation, essentially saying, we all recognize there's a lot of power here. How do you actually make it useful? How do you give it to somebody who's an analyst or an operator or someone who's in the field and doesn't have much time, but they still need to get to the same analysis and questions that someone sitting in an office is doing right now? So spending a lot of time thinking about what are the simple questions I can ask a user on how to get to the answer they want to. Can I ask them and actually teach them along the way? So by teaching them, letting them play with the data, they can actually become better consumers of the maps too. They start understanding what choropleths mean, the colored polygons, the heat maps, because they can play and explore with it and see what their data looks like in different ways, and learn and become better consumers themselves. There's obviously, we're all talking a lot about temporal mapping, so the spatio-temporal aspect. So we've had a lot of the same kind of questions about how do you walk someone through telling us about the temporal aspect of your data. Are these things linked? Is it someone moving down through time, or is it just one event that keeps changing over time? Like water temperature, population size of a camp, and IDP. And then also at some point even being able to freeze it at some point. and saying, I can still look at the map and understand the temporal relationship here with the geographic ones at any one time by people can differently theme things by future events and past events. So you can kind of quickly get a snapshot, put it in a PowerPoint if you have to, but still kind of say, okay, I see that the refugees are moving from the northwest to the southeast by glancing at a static map even. And actually letting them do some analysis themselves. So letting them actually walk through these kind of little brewers and letting them do correlations or differences between maps. So they can actually start comparing different things, start seeing insights where there wasn't necessarily there before. And then you can start cutting across all these things, cutting across all these different data sets that now we're sharing together and start understanding different aspects of this. And even start doing real-time collaboration. So for example, we've integrated with Google Wave as just one of these nice platforms. You can do real-time collaboration. So I can go and embed a map in the middle of a conversation, share that with other people. They can annotate that map, draw on the map, converse around it, share it all back and forth very real time. It's also really nice it's all built on open technology. So you can easily even carry this kind of technology off of the web, deploy it to the field, and serve it up on Wi-Fi. And obviously mobile device. We talked about both smartphones and SMSs. But letting people in a very comfortable way in a device they're using all the time, every day, to still interact with these complex systems when they need to interact with them. So this is what we did. We actually deployed one of our appliances to Afghanistan. We worked after the Camp Roberts exercise. We went and sent actually a Mac Mini, which is a 3-pound box, to Jalalabad. So it's sitting in what's called the Taj. And the fascinating thing about this place is it's part of UN headquarters and NGO Green Zone, and they have one of the only bars in the area. So a lot of people would come and hang out at the bar, and they'd gather together, and they started up this program called the Beer for Data program. So they realized that if you give us some data on a USB stick, we'll give you a beer. And it kind of created this, they wanted to do anyway, just kind of this free exchange of information. So you have these people all gathering together naturally, now starting to share information together. They're all using Wi-Fi together. So now if you can give them the tool there to easily share that, rather than just dropping it into a hard drive, they can actually upload it to the system, this GeoCommons system, share it around, some download it to their GIS tools, some just download it to their spreadsheets, some to their mobile devices, hook up to a WiMAX system so you can serve a 20-kilometer radius around the city so anyone can log in and share this data very easily. So it's kind of this nice kind of ad hoc emergent system that's been very effective. So you start bringing together a lot of players that were involved in this. So everything from the NJ imagery that Google processed and made available to the various other participants who started sharing their data and mechanisms. Everything that was gathered in the field was then deployed as it could be publicly or certain things privately up to the public web. Certain things with that private data could derivative products we made, and those could be shared up. But essentially the idea was to gather it on the ground, make it useful to people on the ground, but also share it to people remotely that want to get access to the same data, to be able to carry all that valuable intelligence outside of this scenario so that we can carry it out and do other analysis with it, and also carry it from one event to the next. So not each one is starting with a blank sheet of paper. So you can start doing some really interesting analysis with this. You can start understanding the correlation between voters versus reported results. So this was an Ushahidi instance alive in Afghanistan that was pulling in mobile information, as well as on-the-ground demographics information with polling location information, and started to understand this correlation was being updated every day, both locally for any of the NGOs and government organizations working there, as well as to the public web, so from media and remote organizations could start analyzing this data. You can also start bringing in analysis. So even that people want some really complex analysis. So there's one group called Census that did a hidden Markov model to do predicted potential breakouts of violence. So they wanted to download all the data, and some of that was private that they got access to but couldn't share. But they did all their analysis and then shared it back out. So people can now go and view an interactive map. They can download the GeoPDF or the PowerPoint or the KML or the spatial light file, whatever format is appropriate to them. So it's that nice lightweight of here's the raw data, do your analysis, share it back out, and kind of create this good ecosystem of data and analysis so we can all start collaborating together. So I hope to keep collaborating with you. Thank you.